So Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by unbeaten heavyweight David Adeleye. David, how you doing?
Very well. Can't complain. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We've picked you out as one of our top 10 prospects to watch in 2021. You'll be glad to know, or I hope you're glad to know.
Definitely.
All of you are under 25 and have yet to fight for a title. I'm sure that's going to change for you in 2021. But first of all, just reflect for us on the 2020 you've had. A lot of people struggling to get fights. You've been out 3 times and all on
Yeah.
TV as well.
Yeah, like you said, everyone's struggling to get fights, so I'm grateful, I managed to get some bouts and yeah, it was all, televised on BT Sports. And yeah, I think I held up my end of the bargain, which was win all of them in good style. Yeah, 2020 we went 3-0, 3 knockouts. And overall now, 4 fights, 4 wins, 4 knockouts, can't complain.
Do you get a bit frustrated at times because the guys you've been fighting, no disrespect to them, aren't up to the level of some of the guys you've sparred and probably some of the guys you've
Yeah.
fought as an amateur as well?
Yeah, I kind of knew that turning pro. When you turn pro, the guys you fight at may not be as good as the last guys you sort of fought at as in the amateurs. But it was about being patient at the same time. I wanted to move pretty fast, and even my coach was saying I've ain't got to move so fast. I'm very young in the game, and yeah, I suppose timing is kind of key, especially in a sport like this.
How important has the top level sparring you've had been in kind of filling in those gaps in your professional education because you're getting rid of people in the ring so quickly?
Yeah, I think it's been very key. Very important, and it's essential. You learn a lot of stuff, and you learn a trick of the trades as well. It's a marathon at the end of the day. So, you learn as much as you can outside the ring, and then try to perform it on the night where it matters the most. So, learning from the people at the top of the tree is more or less the best thing you can possibly do.
Now, a lot of people talk about your sparring with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua for obvious reasons, and we will talk about that momentarily. But just pick someone out from everyone you've sparred who's maybe better when you get in there than people think from watching them on TV.
I think with a lot of these fighters, what you see is what you get, but better than what you see on TV. I mean, I already knew Tyson was kind of awkward. The same thing. I knew Joshua was a big puncher, so I knew he was pretty fast. So same thing. Everyone else. I'd say Joe Joyce actually.
Yeah.
Joe Joyce. A lot of people just see Joe Joyce as a guy that comes forward, and before he boxed Dubois, I was saying that anyways, he's not the exact same fight you see on TV. And when he throws punches and bunches, he actually throws them with, it's not the fastest, but it's definitely faster than you expect it to be. Because you don't always see all of them. So, yeah, he's different when you get in there with him.
Talking about that, when you were watching Joyce and Daniel Dubois against Joe Joyce and you saw Joyce establish his jab so early on and start pushing Dubois back, did you kind of have it in your mind from your experiences sparring the two, this is it now? Now he started pushing him back, it's his fight.
As the rounds were going on, I was kind of like marking the rounds down, and I think I gave Joe round 1. He started to establish his jab. I mean, he established it straight away. I think it was the first time he threw that landed on Dubois' eye. I gave Dubois round 2. Then after that, round 3, 4, 5, I was like, yeah, Joe's comfortable now. He wasn't really throwing his right hand. He was just literally just working behind the jab. I was like, he's definitely comfortable. So yeah, I mean, I had it in Joyce's favour. So I kind of thought, yeah, Joyce is kind of got the ball rolling now. He's comfortable and he's doing what he's got to do.
And were you surprised by how it ended, or the fact that it didn't go at least a round longer, or even the distance?
I'm surprised, but at the same time, I'm not, because his eye was bad. I mean, I could see it. Obviously, we were there, and in real life, yeah, it was pretty big, and yeah, he went down. It was all about what, but yeah, you can't really be surprised in this game, can you?
Let's talk about the sparring with Joshua and Fury. Everyone else has when they've interviewed you, so I don't want to be left out. How did the sparring with Tyson Fury come about before the Wilder rematch? Was that the first time you'd sparred him, or had you sparred him previous to that as well?
That was the first time, we got contacted. I think I got contacted just before my debut, but I never really responded because I wanted to focus on my debut. And then obviously after the debut was out the way, yeah, we got in touch. They got in touch with my manager, and then yeah, next thing we was just out in Vegas, and spar them, getting them on them.
And what was it like? Because from your perspective, as someone who was very early in your pro career, going up against the consensus #1 heavyweight in the world, or I suppose before the Wilder rematch, there may have still been some doubt. Were you at all apprehensive, or were you kind of, this is a chance to kind of see where I am and quite enthusiastic?
Yeah, I was apprehensive at all. I was like, this is where I see where I'm at. I rate myself highly. I regard myself to be one of the best. So let me see myself against, one of the best there actually is. Yeah, you have to enjoy it at the end of the day. If you don't enjoy it, then you'll never really love it. So I always remind myself to go out there and enjoy the game. But that was what I was doing. I was just taking all of my sort of stride and soaking everything up. I was just being a sponge.
And how much were you kind of asked to emulate Deontay Wilder and his style, and how much were you just allowed to be yourself?
Both, to be fair. I mean, I like to throw my right hand anyways. So, they weren't really telling me much anyways, which was, oh, would you try and do this? They were just letting you be yourself. So, yeah, that was more or less it. I mean, before I got there, they were like, look, Dave, we love your right hand. So I think that's as far as it really went. But in terms of sparring, I just going in there doing what I did really.
And were there clues in terms of how he was sparring and his approach that gave you an idea of what he was going to do against Wilder, that he was going to switch it up and go on the front foot?
Yeah, he was taking sparring real serious. And, him and Sugar Hill were working on such minute things that was making a change to like the whole sort of game that we knew was going to be a different sort of boxing game this time round. But yeah, I wasn't really saying much. I was just sitting back, observing it all, and waiting for fight night because you didn't know what Wilder was going to bring to the table.
And you said you wanted to see where you were at when you were going into that sparring. What did it tell you about your level and how far you've got to go to get to that world title level?
Good, I think I was kind of mixed it with him at a sort of a good level, So I wasn't disheartened whatsoever. I thought this is actually good for me, I can't really complain. There were just small little things that was going on, that comes with experience where he'll do certain things that I more or less probably wouldn't clock onto. But now that I've been there with them, I think I kind of see it all now. So yeah.
That's good stuff. And when did you spar Joshua? Was that later in the year?
Yeah, that was later on in the year. That was for the prelim fight.
And would that come about in the same way? Did he kind of pick you out?
Yeah. So they got in touch with me and then spoke to my management, and I actually would have stayed there longer, but I already had planned out that I was going to go and spar Tyson. So I went from the Joshua camp, and literally a week later I was in Tyson's camp. So in the space of 2 weeks I was sparring both the two best heavyweights.
Was that when Tyson still thought he had a fight coming up early in the
Yeah,
new year? Yeah. Or
That's the
actually,
Tyson
was it
Fury
for
fight
when he
in
fought
December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were both, I mean, I imagine by that point, Tyson certainly, and probably Joshua too, were quite close to peaking.
Yeah. They were both very sharp fighters. And to be fair, I was very sharp as well because I was going into a fight as well at the end of November. So yeah, it was good for me as well.
Do they, and I've asked people this before when they go in both camps, particularly ahead of Dubois Joyce, but do they ask you about the other one, or do the coaches
Oh,
ask you about the other one? Never.
actually, never. To be fair to them, they kind of kept it professional, and they both knew I was going into each other's camps.
Yeah.
So Joshua's camp, they knew I was going to Fury's camp, and Fury, he knew I was going to Joshua's camp, and they were both just like, yeah, man. I mean, you're a young heavyweight, go get all the experience you possibly can. So yeah, credit to both of them.
Now, you'd sparred Fury earlier in the year, as we've just discussed, and then you went back into his camp later on. What sort of progress had you made in between? Like, you must have been able to measure because you were going up against the same guy again.
Yeah, Sugar. To be fair, Sugar Hill and Tyson both said I made immense improvement. In the space of the year, which was good for me. It was always good to hear such good feedback. But yeah, Tyson was changing as well. To be fair, you forget I got in there the first one, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I forgot how awkward he is. As the weeks go on, you start to kind of pick up on it, and then you start to get used to it again. And it's like, all right, yeah, he does this, he does that, he does this. So yeah.
Are you at a point now where, as much as you like sparring these guys, you want to be getting in against the really good fighters instead of just being, not used because you're learning as well, but just being employed as a sparring partner for them?
Joshua and Tyson are both in their own sort of league, to be fair. They're at the other end of the timeline, and I'm more or less from the beginning. So, yeah, they're in their own sort of league. But in terms of fighting everyone else, then yeah, of course, because I mean, I don't see these guys as being that far away from me. Whereas obviously you've got Tyson, you've got Joshua there, those in their own sort of bracket doing what they got to do, trying to unify the division.
Yeah, I saw a thing this morning where you said apart from those two, you'd be happy to fight any other heavyweight. And I just wanted to clarify that with you because I saw an interview you did with Dev Sani at Queensbury where you said you'd fight Usyk,
Yeah,
given what you feel about him and how he might struggle at heavyweight. I think you said. Is that blanket then? So you'd fight a Joe Joyce, a Dillian Whyte, guys like that at this stage?
yeah, I would. I mean, I believe in myself. I'm not going to go and rush the process. I mean, I leave it to the people around me and stuff. But yeah, I definitely would. And to be fair, I do rate Joyce highly. I think Joyce is he's world level as well. To be fair, I think the other fighters will probably be easier to fight than it would be to fight like a Joe Joyce.
So are you someone that's constantly on the case of your team saying, look, I know you guys want to be patient, but I want to fight this guy, I want to fight that guy, like let me off the leash kind of thing?
You know what? I was like that, but got to kind of sit back and actually be thankful that I got a team that actually care about me. Because if they didn't, they'll probably listen to what I'd say. So now it's just more or less learning the process, and getting used to the rounds. The rounds get longer. Getting used to that. Getting used to the counters. Getting ready for longer rounds, and getting used to the different sort of styles. So yeah, it's all about waiting and look at the likes like Dubois and stuff. You obviously thought he was ready for the world stage, and got to find out. So
So
it's all about waiting.
it's looking like Fabio Wardley and Nathan Gorman are going to fight for the vacant British title, especially now Dave Allen's retired. I saw Alan Babich yesterday, I think, calling out David Price. Not sure if Price would want that or not at this stage of his career. If you could pick out kind of three ideal fights to get you where you want to be by the end of this year, who do you think would be good? I don't want to call them stepping stones because it's disrespectful, but who would be good to get you where you want to go?
Either any heavyweight, any heavyweight doesn't really matter for me. The boxing scene and the heavyweight scene in the UK is looking real lucrative. It's looking real good. So any of them, to be fair.
How do you feel about the British title itself? It's
I'd
something
like
that
to fight for that.
yeah.
I'd like to fight for that now. To be fair, if they asked me what do you want the next fight to be, I'd say for the British. I'd like to fight for the British.
And is that just because of where it places you on the scene, or is it something you've kind of grown up in boxing wanting to win?
Both. It's a prestigious title. So I'd like to win it, and I like where it would put me. I think it would put me in good stead to fight certain people, and it'll put me high up in the rankings. So and I think I'm capable of doing it. And whoever's mandatory to be fighting for it, I think I could smash. So I'd like to fight for it.
And I said earlier it wouldn't be a David Adeleye interview if we didn't ask about the Joshua and Fury sparring. It also wouldn't be a David Adeleye interview if we didn't ask about size. It's something that comes up regularly when people are talking to you. You generally come in between 215, 220 pounds. Reminiscent, I guess, of maybe a Mike Tyson where he was a great deal shorter than you are, of course. And he didn't go up against anyone really big in his prime. I think Frank Bruno during his prime was probably the biggest that he had to go up against. It was only later on Lennox Lewis came on the scene. Does that ever concern you that when you get to the very top level, the guys are huge, like Joshua and Fury, and you could be at a disadvantage?
But if it concerned me, I wouldn't want to spar them. And I go into spars more than confident, believing in myself. So it doesn't really bother me. Once you get to a certain size, everyone bangs. It doesn't really matter. Everyone can get hurt. So it doesn't have no effect on me. And I've got a big heart. I've got big balls. I got a big bang, so at the end of the day, it doesn't really bother. It doesn't really bother me.
I suppose, in fairness, if Andy Ruiz Jr. was in shape, he might look a bit like you.
Exactly that. He might be. I think a lot of these heavyweights, what they do is, to be fair, they walk around, eat, sleep. None of them are really in a great deal of shape. So if they were all in shape, they probably wouldn't raise far off me. So I mean, I'm gifted. To be fair, I'm gifted. I'm definitely. In terms of strength wise, I'm definitely stronger than the majority of these heavyweights. If any of them stood there with me, they'd know about it.
Yeah, and like you say, in terms of staying on weight and being disciplined, you never look like you've got any excess. I think it's fair to say. People say you're an absolute unit. I don't see any photographic evidence to dispute that. What is your secret? Is it just literally discipline and commitment, or are there kind of stuff you do with your diet? What can you share?
Discipline and commitment, and I'd say genetics as well. You know, I mean, my brother's a unit. It's just in the family, to be fair. Yeah, good genes. Can't complain, you know, and I'm gifted. So, but you know, I always stay in shape, anyways. Always stay fight ready. So, yeah.
How have you found it during lockdown? Not so much this one because it's only just started, but the previous one. Obviously, you've still been able to fight and everything, but how have you found it in terms of outside of the gym and outside of the ring? Has it become quite boring and frustrating? What sort of stuff do you normally do outside of the ring?
You know, a little bit bothered, you know, but you kind of get used to it. You know, you pick up on, you've got to kind of adjust. But yeah, in terms of outside the ring, I just probably just chill. I stay home most of the time, anyways. But I chill. You know, I might go to to my friend's house. You know, they might come to my house. We all just chill, relax. But I think that's the only thing that really changes.
Okay. And you talked about your team quite a lot during this chat, and they don't really get mentioned much, or at least haven't so far. So just give us a bit of a rundown of who's in your team and what they've done for you so far.
Yeah. So I got Frank Greaves, that's my coach. I got Jonathan Barnett, who's my manager, alongside Namdi, and he worked for my dad. And yeah, we got Frank Wong, of course, the promoter. You know, so that's more or less it. I got my whole sort of family on me as well. You know, I got people around me that keep me grounded and like to, you know, keep me disciplined.
How do they do that, if you don't mind me asking? Is it just kind of taking the mick out of you a little bit, or what do they
No,
do
man,
to keep you?
just by keeping everything real with me. You know, and, they're not. I mean, I ain't got no yes men around me that just listen to what I have to say. They kind of just tell me the realness, and it's what keeps me grounded.
That's good to hear. And just before we let you go, we've asked this before, of course, but just tell people out there how they can follow you on social media, because I think this is going to be a huge year for you.
Most definitely, God willing, is a huge year for me as well. You know, I want these titles, I want these big fights, I want these names, you know, to kind of get me in the mix. But yeah, they can follow me on Instagram at David Adeleye1, Twitter at David Adeleye, and Facebook at David Adeleye.
Great stuff. Right, well, I hope to see you back out again soon. Obviously, 2020 suggests you'll be quite busy, so that's good.
Yes, yes.
And we look forward to seeing you back in action.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Thank you.